Hi, and welcome to the Adobe Illustrator introduction video. I really just want to show you around a little so that you're familiar with Illustrator's interface, like where to find things and maybe also how to do a couple things before you get started. Now, when you first open Adobe Illustrator, this is the screen that pops up. We call it the home screen. At the top of the screen is the menu bar, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Microsoft Word. There are drop-down panels that help you accomplish various tasks, like for instance, the File tab is where you will go to save or print the files that you're working with. Down below the menu bar on the left side, you see a series of quick click commands like how to start a new Illustrator file or open an existing file that you've already saved. In the center of the screen is the suggestion panel where you can go to find stock images, find tools and tutorials that Adobe has for you, and also kind of like another quick start area that's a little bit more specific. So if you wanted to start a letter size project, and letter is 8.5 by 11 inches in size, you can click on that and it will open that size artboard. Don't do it yet! I'll show you what an artboard is here momentarily. But first I want to point out, do you see how it says that the letter size is actually 612 by 792 points? Yes, PTS stands for points, and points are the default unit of measurement in Illustrator. Now in Photoshop, the default unit of measurement is pixels. And we don't usually work in either points or pixels as interior design students. We typically work in inches. So I'll show you how to update the unit of measurement here shortly. But I just wanted you to be aware that every design software that you're going to be working with has some kind of default unit of measurement, and that you might need to update it in order to work on your projects. So let's go ahead and come over here to the left side and click New File in the top left-hand corner. And what you see is a new window that pops up. Again, they include some suggested project sizes for you to work with, but I just want you to look at the top of the window, and I want you to see that you can choose the types of projects that you're wanting to create. So are you wanting to do something for mobile phones? Are you trying to create a website and need like some kind of graphics for it? Are you printing? Are you creating visuals for film or video? You can always click on these options at the top to see some of the suggested sizes that they have for you. Usually they're commonly used, but honestly I tend to create my own size because I am my own rainbow. Thank you very much. Even if there are suggested project sizes I could use, I still kind of do my own thing, and that's what you see on the right side of this window. Now at the top you should see where it says Untitled 1. This is where you can name the project that you want to start. So I'm going to go ahead and click here, and let's rename this Practice, because we're practicing. Next is the width, height, unit of measurement, the orientation, and the artboard. So let me break this down a little for you here. Obviously, width and height is how wide and how tall that you want your artboard to be. So think of an artboard as the piece of paper that you're going to be drawing on, and the piece of paper that will eventually be printed. You'll see momentarily what that artboard looks like, but in Illustrator, you can create multiple artboards. So if you're making something that has fronts and backs or multiple pages like a booklet, you can lay it all out at once. Where it says points, this is where you can go to set the unit of measurement the project will use. So let's go ahead. If you don't see inches, you probably see points already. I'm going to go ahead and choose inches, and then you should see where it has 8.5 by 11 on the width and height. Orientation decides if your artboard will be portrait style or landscape. So what orientation is that piece of paper? Honestly, whatever you choose as your width and height, Illustrator is going to automatically update this area. But if you decide you want to flip it, like I actually wanted it to be 11 inches wide, you can just click on the landscape orientation and you should see how Illustrator has updated the width and height accordingly. Bleed, I don't usually do a whole lot with bleed, but it's kind of like setting up your document so that you don't add graphics or text close to the borders of the artboard. Some printers can't go all the way to the edge of the paper when it prints, so The bleed kind of helps you set up some guidelines of sorts for you to use. We're so new, we're not graphic designers, so we're just going to kind of leave bleed at 0 on all 4 of those. Color mode is important. It helps you determine the set of colors that you want to work with. CMYK is generally used when you want to print hard copies of your work to printers. CMYK are the colors of ink in the printer, so cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. RGB stands for red, green, blue, and we use this colorway when we are producing materials for viewing on screens. The pixels inside your screens are made up of red, green, and blue colored light. So for the most part, we're not generally creating logos to be displayed on a screen. We're creating logos and other graphics that are going to be printed out on posters and such. So we're going to use CMYK for your projects. Raster effects in Illustrator are pixels per inch. The higher the number, the better the resolution of your work. 300 is perfect for our purposes. I don't generally worry about the last 2, which are the preview mode and the more settings options. So once you kind of have yours set up the same way that mine is, let's go ahead and click Create. It may take a few seconds, but Illustrator opens up a drawing file for you, which generally has a white square or rectangle in the center with a gray background. So this white is your artboard. Whatever is drawn on the white area is what will print in theory. When you go to make picture files, sometimes it does pick up anything drawn in the gray area as well. So the white area is the artboard. You'll hear me refer to this as the canvas because I always think of somebody painting on a canvas. And the gray area is simply the background or the table that the canvas is sitting on. If your screen does not look like mine, go up to the top right-hand corner of your screen. You should see a little icon right next to that minimize button. If you hover your mouse over it, it says Switch Workspace. Go ahead and click on that and make sure that Essentials Classic is chosen. I find that this is the easiest interface to work with in terms of finding and using tools and modification buttons. I'm also a little old school, so some of the new setups that they have, I don't really know where to find everything. So I learned Photoshop when it first came out, and so I always stick with Essentials Classic. Once you choose that, your screen should look similar to mine, but I do also want to point out I have noticed that if you have Windows 11, the screen will still look a little bit different from mine because I'm currently using Windows 10 on my video. So just be aware there could be some minor differences. Hopefully they're not too different. Now at the very top of the screen is that same menu bar from the home screen, and below that is what's called the control panel. You're going to hear me refer to this as the options bar because the tools and commands that you see here are going to change depending on what command that you're working with. So different tools have different options of modification. Don't worry, we're going to get into that. On the left-hand side, you should see a toolbar. This is where drawing tools and text tools of all sorts and shapes are located. You'll be using this often. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some panels and a series of icons. And we're also going to be using this area often as well. Some simple tools to help you navigate in and around your artboard include the pan command as well as the zoom command. Now the pan command is found in the toolbar. It looks like a little hand, isn't it so cute? Simply click on that little command button and you should see that your cursor becomes a hand. Click and drag your artboard around a little so that you can kind of see how it essentially grabs the whole artboard and then you can move it around. It even closes a little hand when you grab. Do you guys see that? It's so cute. Now, if you have a mouse that has a scrolling wheel on it, if you push down on that scrolling wheel like it's a button, it becomes the shortcut to the pan command. This comes in really handy when you're working in Illustrator, so please don't forget that tip. And if you don't have a mouse with the scrolling wheel, I want you to get one! It will change your life. You can also use the scroll bars on the bottom So here's the scroll bar here to go left and right, or the scroll bar on the right side, which will help you go up and down. Zooming in and out is done a couple of different ways as well. You can use the magnifying glass. It's located right next to the pan hand in the toolbar. Click, and then click and drag your mouse up and down, and you'll kind of see how it works. I might have zoomed a little too far. If you feel like you get stuck, use the other command for zoom, which is a keyboard command. If you hold down the control and minus, it'll help you zoom out. Wow, I was really zoomed in. And then control plus will also help you zoom in. So control minus to zoom out, control plus to zoom in. They're kind of like little baby steps, and I use those actually quite a lot on my videos, so just kind of be aware of that. The other option you have for zooming in and out is going to be that little scrolling wheel on your mouse. If you hold down the ALT button, or the Alt button, as it's so lovingly referred to, while you're using that little scroll, you're not pushing down on that wheel, you're actually turning the wheel. You'll see that you can get it to access like the control plus, control minus, the little baby steps of zoom. Feel free to use any method. There is no wrong way and there is no right way. That's what I really like about design software. There's lots of ways to do the same thing. Just find what grooves well for you. The next command I want to show you in this video is the artboard tool. It's located right above the panhand command, and it allows you to adjust your artboard or create another one right next to it. When you click on it, you should see that there is a blue outline around the artboard, and it says Artboard 1 at the top left corner. You can use these little grips that you see in the center or corners of that blue outline to actually adjust the size of your artboard. You can also go up to the top in the options bar, and you can see the W and H. This is where you can type in what you want it to be. So if I want to put it back to 8.5 by 11, I just type 8.5, because 0.5 is half an inch in design software terminology, and hit enter, and you should see that your artboard adjusted. Now if you want to add another artboard, so let's say that you're trying to do a front side and a back side to something, up in the options bar is the little plus sign surrounded by a square. If you hover your mouse, it says New Artboard. Go ahead and click on that, and you should see that Artboard 2 was placed right next to Artboard 1. Now look at that! So it does create another artboard that is the same height and width as the original one that you created. If you need to adjust one artboard, just make sure to click on it so that the blue outline is around it. That's how the software knows that that's the artboard that you want to work with. So if I actually wanted to adjust the first artboard, go ahead and click on it so that that blue outline is around it. When you're done with the artboard tool and you want to get out of this mode, simply click anywhere on the gray background and then click on the black arrow to exit out of that command. Alright, the last thing I want to show everybody is how to save this file so that you can come back into Illustrator and keep working on it. So let's go up to File in the menu bar, and let's go ahead and click on Save. This new window is going to pop up, and basically this is called your File Explorer. And it lists the drives that are on your computer over here on the left hand side. It kind of lists folders and system places that you can save things. So for those of you who are in my class, I want you to navigate down to where it says the Z drive. Now obviously I'm recording this at home. I don't have a Z drive. So I'm going to substitute my Oathkeeper. Yes, I'm a Game of Thrones nerd. Thank you very much. I'm going to substitute this Oathkeeper drive for the Z drive. So just keep that in mind. And for those of you who are at home who are not my student, you are free to save this wherever your little heart desires. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the drive. And if you have never opened your Z drive before, it should be blank. Obviously, I have used my Oathkeeper drive, and I have a folder for every project that I work on. And that's what I want for my students. I want you to have a folder for every class that you have so that you can keep your files separated. Trust me when I say you're going to have over 100 files to deal with semester to semester, so it's important to be organized. So to create a new folder for this class, there's one of two ways that we can do that. You can click on the new folder button here at the top left, or you can right click in the blank area, go down to new, and choose folder. Once you choose that, you should see this pops up and the words are highlighted in blue. That indicates that it's time to rename this folder. So let's go ahead and rename it ID 224, and every project that you create is going to be saved here. I'm going to click off in the blank area to deselect that folder, and you should see that it is right here ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and double click on that folder to open it, and you should see up here in the scroll bar how we're kind of following along the path. So I was in the Oath Keeper and now I'm in the ID 224 folder. Again, to stay organized, let's create another new folder, and let's name this Assignment 1. So any kind of file that you create for Assignment 1 will be placed in here. And yes, this is practice and we're not necessarily doing Assignment 1 right now, but again, it's just practice. Just go with it. All right, we're going to open up that folder and see again how that path is kind of laid out. That way you always know whatever the last option is up here, that's the folder that you're actually in. So we're in the right folder where we want to have it saved. The last two things that we need to look at is your file name. If you're a student of mine, please use the naming system to name your files. It's going to help you stay organized. This is just practice, so I'm going to keep it at practice. And then the last thing you need to look at is the type of file that you're saving. Always save the AI file when you're working in Illustrator. Very important. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to come in and add shapes or change colors. The AI file is what's going to save all of that for you. But if you click on the scroll bar, you'll see the other kinds of things that you can save, including a PDF. But for now, just know that all you need to do is save this AI and go ahead and click Save. This window will always pop up. There's nothing that you really need to worry about with it. Just go ahead and click OK. And just to double check and make sure that that's saved, I'm going to go down to the File Explorer of this PC, and that is this little manila folder down here with a blue holder. Click on that once and it opens up the File Explorer. It looks very similar to that save screen that we were on. Navigate towards that same pathway. Oath Keeper, ID 224, Assignment 1, and there is that AI file. Now if you're not seeing this extra information, right click in the blank area, choose View, and choose Details. That will help you see what the last date is that you worked with this particular file, the type of file that it is, as well as the size of the file. So hey everybody, we're at the end of this video. For now, this is all that you need to get started with Illustrator. Next up, you're going to learn how to draw text and shapes so that we can start creating some logos.